What life story are you telling yourself, and is it a productive, beautiful story, or is it a story you'd rather ditch?
And would you rather learn to rewrite your story
Yeah.
or edit your own life story script?
Exactly. That's what we're going to be chatting about in this week's episode of Mind, Health and Anxiety.
In Get Real with the English Sisters.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of things, that we tell ourselves in our old stories. And it's kind of the things that we repeat to ourselves, aren't they?
Well, it makes me think of the fairy tale story of finding the prince and, all the princess and getting married and having children and doing all these things that, it's not always suitable for us, is it? It can be changed, and you can
maybe that's somebody else's
remodel.
story and that
Yeah.
was great for somebody else, but it might not be actually your story.
Yeah.
It might be a story that was fine for someone you knew, for a family member, but maybe your story is a different one.
Yeah.
And maybe you are living out somebody else's story because you're frightened of change, or you're frightened of being judged. And, I think until we learn to really write our own story, then we are finally free.
Yeah, that reminds me of Lisa Bilyeu. She was saying that her mum and dad, she's from a Greek family, very traditional, which she thought they were anyway. And she said that her mum and dad separated, and then her mum had this lovely friend come and live with them, and she was always there. And it wasn't till years later that she actually came out that she was her partner. They were in love.
Wow.
They were in love, and now they
She'd
got
been
married.
hiding
She'd
the
been
truth.
hiding the fact that she was gay and that she had this relationship with this woman that was just supposed to be like a family friend. And
Yeah.
Lisa was saying it's such a shame that she didn't have the confidence just to come out and say it to us, because we really did love her, and we do love her now. But
Yeah.
it's just it wasn't the story that was acceptable
Exactly.
in her, the way she grew up.
It was an old script that belonged to somebody else, and it's certainly this old script that we all tend to follow.
Yeah.
And there's one script written by one person years and years ago, or by some kind of politics or religion that wants us to follow the flock and behave, and we all tend to follow that story, especially when it comes to things like what you were saying, marriage.
A lot of the time we don't realise as well. They're like
No.
subconscious patterns that we've been like hypnotised into thinking that this is what we have to do.
Yes, you
Because
don't
we haven't
realise
got
it.
free, or we're just following in our father's footsteps or our mother's footsteps, or living up to somebody else's dream for
Their
that they have for us.
expectations that they have. But I mean,
But I mean, when you grab your own story and say, "No, I'm going to start writing this," it's very freeing.
very, very freeing. You can start with a new affirmation, like every day. You can start with, imagining that you've got a new pen in your hand. It's a pen that has never been held by anyone before, and this is your pen, and it's your pen, and you can write your own script. You can write the story day by day, the story of how you're going to live your life.
Exactly.
And you can respect other people's stories, no judgment. But you can let go of the fear and decide to write your story. And you may say that's easier said than done.
I was just going to say that can be really tricky for some.
Yes, it can be
for
really
most people,
for
actually.
all of us, it's
Yes.
really tricky. We all
Because
tend,
we're breaking away from what is expected
especially
of
if
us.
we're breaking away a lot. It's a big thing, and we've decided that no, we don't want to go to law school. We want to go and do this and become I don't know.
Or we don't want to have children, and
especially with the children.
Grandma and
yeah.
granddad are expecting to have grandkids. Our parents, our mum and dad want babies.
Yeah, how do we deal with that?
That's
their
not
story.
Their story.
They
had
the babies. Exactly. And is it really, they say it's my right to become a granddad or a grandmother.
Why?
Why? Yes, it's not really your right. It
Not
was
at
your
all.
right to create your story. But when your story has to become my story at all costs and change the whole script of my life, is that really going to be, is that really helpful
Fair.
or fair? I wanted to say the word fair, but I thought,
It's not fair.
is it really fair? And just because it's been a past script that has gone on and on and on, is it really fair today? And you know, some people may say yes, it's fair, and don't ask so many questions, otherwise there'd be
It's
no kids around.
respectful.
Yeah, and it's respectful for
The elders.
exactly. And how can you respect your elders? You can respect them by speaking your truth and gently explaining to them that no matter how much you respect them and you are so grateful for the values and beliefs that they have passed on and all those useful lessons you've learned from them, at the same time you've also learned to become independent, and you must prioritize your own self in this case. And because you have to write your own story, they cannot write it for you because you will never be happy.
No, and if there isn't, if you don't write your own story, you will live in resentment. Most people do,
Yes.
and regret.
And regret. So
And you'll look back on your life and think, wow,
yes, exactly.
what happened?
Because it doesn't last that long, our lives. And we have to think about that. We have to think, okay, you know, am I writing this for my father, for my mother, for the elders, like what you were saying? Or do I have to sort of understand that this is me? I've come into the universe and I've got something to say, and something may be different. And if you don't have something different, then your story can intertwine really comfortably with their story, and it become one long story of continuous tradition, etc. And that's also really beautiful. There may be something else that you want to express about yourself, though. Because it might be, you might be very happy to continue in many of the traditions. It doesn't mean you're going to break free of all of them,
No, and
does
it doesn't mean that your story has to be something spectacular.
No.
You
Absolutely.
know, and film worthy that millions of people are going to go and watch you.
Yes, you're so...
You just have to feel as if you're just calm and just happy and just serene. But you're following your truth. You're not like living a lie. You can ask yourself, am I living a lie? Am I living someone else's story? Is this my story? Is this what I really want to do?
I think there is a moment of great
Because,
reflection
for
there for
instance,
all of us.
Yeah, my daughter's fiance, he said he didn't have the courage to tell his parents. He's from Chile. He didn't have the courage to tell his parents he didn't want to become a doctor because they wanted him to study medicine or law, and he didn't want to. He wanted to study science, and so he didn't. What he did is that he didn't tell them.
He escaped.
Well,
didn't
he didn't tell them until it was too late and that he'd already, you know, practically finished his studies. He just kind of told a white lie and said he was at university without specifying.
Okay,
So
that's
kind
probably a
of
good
kept
idea.
them in the dark.
Were they very annoyed about that?
No, in the end, they kind of had to accept it because he was older, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then he came to the UK and then he met my daughter, and everything's fine and dandy now. But he's living his story, so it's not like his parents originally didn't want him to
And they
study
were very
that,
traditional.
and they wanted him to do something else. So in the end, you have to ask yourself, is that going to make me happy? Because if you're not, if you're not,
Am I
yeah,
gonna,
if your
is that
heart
going to want
isn't
to make
in there
me
and your
get up in
mind's
the
not
morning?
in it,
Yeah.
what's the point?
You're absolutely right. Yeah. What is the point of living a life that was designed for somebody else? That is so true, and you can realize that at any time, even if you're in the story, you've decided to go ahead and do something. You can always think about something that you can change to make it more your story. So say you did have children and you've got your kids now, and you obviously in the end you're happy, you can be a happy family. But perhaps you choose to go to work, for example, because you realize that you've always wanted to do something. I don't know, own your own business or something. you can still live that story. If you have a dream.
It's a bit like a side job, isn't it?
What's a side job? You're doing something
Well,
else?
yeah, sometimes if you think you can't get away because there's too many difficulties in the story that you're living, and you feel as if you can't just break free from it, you can have start your little side hustle where you're actually doing what you want to do without making too many waves.
Yeah.
Until one day maybe you can break free.
Yeah, absolutely. You may have been silent before, but you can slowly find your voice. You can whisper at first and talk to, tell yourself about what you want to do. And when you feel safe enough, you can also tell others that are going to support you in your journey, because perhaps somebody around you may, no way, that business idea is really bad or whatever, I don't know. But you can find people that are going to support you and help you because it's worth it ultimately.
Absolutely worth
it. It's totally worth it to become the author of your story. And it is a daily practice.
I think so.
It's not something
you have to work on it.
Yes, it's not something you can just say, yes, I want to be the author of my story. It's a bit like writing a real book. You have to put some effort into it, don't you? You have to make sure that...
It's discipline, isn't it?
Yes,
it's taking those steps every day.
You're going to hold that pen and not let it go and carry it through every day.
Setting boundaries as well.
Exactly, that boundary, especially perhaps from people that are not going to become part of your new story. They don't want you to have a new story. They want you to stay in the old story that you were stuck in the past. And that can happen a lot of the times, can't it?
It does a lot. But you can't live someone else's life ultimately. That's why they have their own life.
Exactly.
They've had their choices that they've had to make. A lot of times they will try and guilt you in saying, I sacrificed everything for you. I did everything for you. What are you doing in return? You're not even letting me have this satisfaction of having, you go to university, or you study medicine, or you do this.
You become the dancer.
Because
I put you through dance school.
I put you through university. They'll come up with all this emotional blackmail to stop you from pursuing your own story.
Yeah.
Making it all about them again.
And you might know that you'll feel this. You'll feel that when you get up in the morning, you'll feel that there's something that's not resonating with you. You know what we're talking about, the people, those of you that are listening to this and do feel this way, you know exactly what we mean when we're saying this. You're not living the way you were supposed to live. Because let's face it, each one of us was supposed to do it. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be doing absolutely anything.
It doesn't matter whether you believe in fate or not, but we all have our things that we have to be doing.
Yes, we do have to be doing, and we know we have to be doing them. And the things that we feel
that satisfy
us and that make us feel calm. And not always calm, because there are certain things that can bring
They're
difficult, yeah, and you have to overcome
hurdles.
Yes. Absolutely, we know all about that. Yes.
But the thing is that when you know that you're narrating your own story, there's a lot of satisfaction in in your failures or in your successes, because it's true for you. It rings true to you.
Yes,
exactly. So you feel satisfied. You feel as if you're doing the right thing, kind of thing.
Because you're going to write your own story. Yes, you can, and it doesn't have to be written all at once. You can just say, right, from now on, I'm going to write or rewrite part of my story. And by rewriting, we mean going back to the past moments that may have hurt you, as we were saying in the other episode, about emotional baggage, and trying to see them through a different light, perhaps through a light of empathy, or a different kind of seeing it in somebody else's shoes, as to speak. And you can go ahead like that, can't you? You can become the author
Well, yeah.
of your own story.
Yeah, and step by step as well, day by day. Even if it's something as simple like you're living in a household that no one likes to work out and you suddenly think you want to become fit and healthy. Well, you maybe don't have to, publicize it, but you can just say in your mind, affirm in your mind that day by day I'm going to get fit and healthy, and make those food choices. Or stop buy some healthy food.
Exactly.
Make those changes, because you'll find that not everyone wants to be on the same journey that you're on, and you will have opposition to it.
Yeah, especially when it comes to things like that, that you might be, oh, come on, don't bother.
Yeah.
Sit down here. Let's just
But
have
or if
order
it's
pizza.
even coming to, like, if you want to become, say, sober, and people around you don't agree with you, but
That's especially.
it's you have to think, this is my story. How do I want to live my life? And just go with it.
Go with it and be brave, and make sure that you hold that pen in your hand, and don't worry if you start writing it and then you don't know how it's going to turn out, but you can still write a few words every day.
But you're on the right path when, like what you said, you feel at peace, and you feel inspired, and you feel
excited.
Yes.
There's something exciting. I might be scared of this, but I'm excited at the same time, because it's something new, and it's not in my comfort zone, because your comfort zone may have been one that you've got used to now, that you're always repeating the same things that don't make you happy. And so
it could even be like a career change, couldn't it? You
Career
might be in a
change.
career that you're not really
Very
that
often
happy
it's
with,
a career change.
and you can start with a side hustle, and then just take it from there, see how that goes, and then maybe do some more studying or something. But you will feel that it's something that you want to do. You will feel good about it.
You will.
In your heart of hearts.
Absolutely.
So let us know what you think. Are you gonna start writing your own story, or maybe you have been writing it for years, and maybe you've had opposition? You can let us know in the comments on YouTube or on Instagram, or send us a text on wherever you get your podcast, and let us know what it's been like for you, because we are here and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. See you soon. Bye bye.